Children of the Corn. What's up, everybody? Geektastic Cypher here on Free X Agents Media. You can also find us on Geektastic Cypher over on Twitch TV. That's twitch.tv/Geektastic Cypher. And if you don't know how to spell the name yet, you just, I don't know what to tell you at this point. Like, what's up?
Give up on life.
Yeah, man. Pay attention. Learn your lessons. Kids, we have a guest with us this week. Omar Sonics is on the show. What's up?
Hello.
Bobs?
Hello. Thanks for having me, man.
We have Dave, who's off because he's watching the She-Hulk trailer, because we're going to talk about the She-Hulk trailer at the top of the show.
I can't wait to hear his reaction after he watches it himself.
Yeah, because he's watching it like right now.
Yeah,
like he was with us and then disappeared. He's like, okay, I'm going to come back in to discuss this. And I was just like, okay, so we'll just let you. I mean, I don't want to talk about it until he gets on, but it's I got some things to say. I got a few comments. Yeah, every time I think I will say this. When I look at the money that Disney has, and I think about what Disney has done in the past and the things that Disney can do, and then I saw that trailer, I think I was a little taken aback by, okay, I see Dave. He's back in. So Dave, I was saying, and I don't know if you're okay, if you can hear me. You look like an old man who doesn't know how to use a computer right now, so I'm a little concerned.
Who are you? What's this?
Where am I?
Brian?
Can someone get my grandson? He's always the one to fix the computer for me.
I feel the look that Dave has on his face is a look that many of us had after watching that trailer.
Yeah. After watching the She-Hulk trailer, I think all of us had a moment of, oh.
It's not what I was expecting. I was not. It's we'll see.
It's Ali. Okay, so Jaws D said this, and a lot of people have actually been saying this. It's Ally McBeal with the She-Hulk.
That's what it really looks like, which I'm like, I really hope that's not what it is. I was hoping this was going to be like a segue to like, here's a bunch of characters that we'll be introducing. Like her defendants would be people that you'll be in up and coming things or things that have happened, you know?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of hoped for that too, because we've already established so many characters in the MCU, and the fact that we finally brought over the Netflix series content, and you have everything with variants and all that stuff, is very easy to explain that these characters and these heroes, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Iron Fist that no one likes.
Recast it, it's fine. Not you.
And I was kind of hoping for a little bit of the legal side of things. You know, Carrie-Anne Moss's character over on Jessica Jones was really good, and it would be interesting to see kind of that legal side of things, and Daredevil, Matt Murdock, touching in on superhero registration type stuff, because the Sokovia Accords still exist, but no one really seems to be paying attention to them because no one seems to be enforcing them. From my perspective, like when I watch these movies now, I'm just like, so we're just completely skipping over the Accord's existence, or is it?
Because that was like, it's like post-pandemic, pre-pandemic world, right? That was pre-snap. Now we're in a post-snap world.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Oh, you know what? That's a fair point. I guess post-blip, post-snap, the Sokovia Accords kind of mean less because the heroes actually did bring everybody back.
I wasn't even thinking about that, but that's a good rationale. Maybe
I was gonna say for them the snap is like it's a reset for everything, because they lost half of the world. They're like, no, screw all these stupid things. Let's just survive. And now that everyone's back, they're just like, we're all kumbaya until you guys fuck up.
Right.
Oh wait, I didn't make 5 minutes. Damn it.
You were 3 seconds by.
Wait, is that a game that you watch how long it takes for Dave to swear?
No, not even. But one of the things that they say a lot about streaming is that
I've heard you guys talk about this.
Yeah, and we were 3 seconds shy, and then he dropped an F-bomb. But hey,
so close.
Better luck next time, folks.
So close.
Tune in every week to see how soon Dave breaks the swear jar.
Don't bring your children around me if you want them to like talk proper.
Oh my god.
He's gonna teach them all the swear words.
Apparently,
Well,
I'm a
as
sailor.
your guest, I am used to being clean on air. So
Yeah, because you come from a radio background.
Oh, well, see, we didn't mention that. So yeah, I mean, I host a radio show on CJLO 1690 AM, best of Montreal #1 radio station.
Yes.
Called Hooked on Sonics, which is every Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m. You can find me on Instagram at Hooked on Sonics Radio, or you can find me at Twitter at Omar Sonics. But yeah,
dude.
there you go. So radio, we keep it clean, man.
I used to keep it clean back in my day when I used to be on the radio.
Who's that?
And then I got rid of that blasted mute button. I started dropping the F-bombs and the S-bombs and the C-bombs, and now I say all the words.
I remember when you were on CGLO, you like censored yourself.
I still find myself doing it every once in a while.
He does it on the podcast. I've heard it.
Sometimes I thought it was the feed cutting. I'm like, that's an odd cut that keeps on happening. And then I realized that he was doing it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian had his own dump out button that he would just press.
Yeah. I try I try to keep up with it, because if I ever did feel like going back to radio, I'd like to know that I could still do it. So it's one of the reasons that I try not to just completely drop it. But I do feel most of the time like I don't want to even think about it sometimes. But sometimes, you just want to be aware. If ever you want to try and apply for a corporate job over at one of these bigwig radio stations, you got to be able to turn on the shine. You know what I mean? Hey, everybody, you're listening to the one and only. You got to be able to
do the whole pod like that. So tell us what you think about She-Hulk.
Brian sounds like the intro to every like game show you ever heard. Mob sounds like the guy from the 80s in the movie commercial.
In a world.
We were just talking about that this weekend.
We were seriously just talking about that this weekend, about how we kind of missed that guy, because now the trailers just give everything away. And before it was just that guy being like, he's got nothing to lose today.
I preferred when that guy would do it, because the trailers now is just like, all right, how do we get people into these theaters? Let's show them every single scene in the whole movie that is worth seeing in the 3 minutes. And then we trick them into going into the movie. And then once they watch the movie, they'll come out and complain, but they'll still be like, it's still fun. Yeah. And their friends will go see it too.
I was telling Brian too how like all those classic early 80s, early 90s action movie trailers always started off with this kind of weird percussion, like a blink, 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 blink. And then the guy would come in and be like, Dave was having a bad day.
On this day of days, who would have thought X would happen?
I was just listening to How Did This Get Made, the Time Cop episode.
Yeah,
and I feel like Time Cop is the end of an era of those types of commercials, like the late 90s. Because I feel like once it hit the 2000s, I don't know that they were still doing those types of world commercials.
I was really thinking about that, and I can't remember when's the last time they've done that. It really has not been recent.
I feel like actually saying the year 2000 was the official, like, we got to do new things, so we're getting rid of that old guy. Like, which is a shame, because like now you're, like Brian was saying before, your movie trailers kind of suck now.
Well, I think those two guys who used to do all those voiceovers are dead also.
Well, but like it's not like it's a hard replacement.
That's true.
Like, I don't want to be mean. Like,
how dare you, Dave? Those were golden pipes.
The days of like Bruce Buffer or whatever are over. Those guys, like, they're dead.
Is that
they're
the guy
dead
who
breed.
does
the Ready to Rumble or whatever. Like, it's one of
what's
there's two brothers. I think it's Bruce. Oh shit!
Dude,
Bruce,
first name's good enough. I don't know who this dude. I don't know this dude from a random person on the street. So the fact that you know his first name already is way more impressive.
Because there's two of them. There's one Bruce Buffer. Buffer's the last name, but there's actually two brothers who do the same job. Literally, so one of them started doing it for Ted Turner's WCW because Ted Turner was using him to like try and make the show look professional. Okay. Then his brother ripped off his shtick, went to UFC, and we all know who had the longer career. So,
damn, Ted Turner, killing dreams, one bad wrestling show at a time. Oh wait, you know what, Dave? You said you wanted to tell us a story and you wanted to get my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
that Mobs is equally logical as I am.
Yes.
So
Okay.
hit us. So folks, some weird wrestling stuff happened, I
Yeah.
presume.
Okay.
Hit us
So
with this, and then
a
we'll vote.
walkout happened. A walkout happened on the show, and that's basically, first of all, walking out on a show when you're like a champion of sorts is basically unheard of. But the thing is, it's the logic of the
question. Walkout as in they walked.
They
like there was a
literally, as the show, like as there was airtime going, we're gonna start the show now. These two people were like, "Fuck off, we ditch you," and they were on the program in the main event. So,
Oh, okay.
the reason why this is odd is because, first of all, is it logical that they should have been angry to begin with? And B, the question is whether or not this is a work or not, but I don't think it's a work.
Okay.
And then,
so you're gonna tell us the whole scenario and ask.
yeah, I'll give the whole scenario. So
Okay.
To give some prefix, it's for the women's tag titles. So
Okay.
some history, as you guys could appreciate, women have always fought their way in any type of sports,
Of course.
entertainment, whether it's broadcasting or whatever.
Yeah.
Women had to fight to become like, not just valets or escorts or managers of people. And like,
Yeah.
they've built a division. And even in building that division in the like, I would say there was always a certain degree of a women's division, but it became like more prominent that there's actual, like, more than like 3 girls fighting on this wrestling show.
They put money behind it too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just Trish Stratus and China.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
so like,
hey, here comes Lita.
yeah, exactly. Like, you know all the names. You named
were
the
the
equivalent
3.
of like 5 years to 10 years.
I know.
Like,
Those were the only women the years that I watched wrestling.
Exactly. So now, like,
I'm just like Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So like, circa around 2005, between 2005 2010, WWE finally starts putting a bit more work on it. They hire proper wrestlers. Well, sorry, they make a division, get a real title kind of going. There's some wrestlers, some like, we'll call them models with ring gear on, and then that evolves to like, now they have like a relatively good crew of women that all really know how to wrestle, look good doing it, etc., etc. Crosses all their check boxes as like a company or whatever. And recently they decided to like upgrade it by saying, okay, we're going to give you the women's titles, and these women's titles are going to be defended on all the shows that we have, because usually each show has their own women's like their own championship title. And then there's these tag titles that go all around, because the division isn't that thick in regards to a roster, which is fine.
Yeah.
So, and one thing,
question.
Yeah.
All the women are, because I know that they have SmackDown, Raw, and NXT.
NXT, yes.
So those are the 3, right?
Those are the 3 like where you would defend your titles on.
Okay. And currently, are the women spread out amongst these 3, or are the women able to float from one to the other? Because
you have so per the roster, you have
Bob's like what the fuck?
Yeah, no, just understand.
No, I know it's good.
You'll appreciate like the concept of like contracting and stuff in a minute. That's where the logic is. So you have, on each roster, you have like X amount of women, but the girls who have the ladies who have the titles, they can float from show to show.
Gotcha.
Like they visit every week or whatever you have. So, and I guess one thing in general, like WWE has done a good job of like mixing it up, like culturally wise, like they've had like different types of champions from different backgrounds, whether it's Asian,
Japanese, black,
exactly, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, cool.
And the current heavyweight champ there's 2 of them. There's Ronda Rousey, and there's this girl named Bianca Belair, who she's an African American, and then the tag champs are both African American. Okay. So these girls, they're going to their show, and in going to the show, they learn that they're going to be in the main event. The main event is a 6-person fight to determine who's going to be the number 1 contender for the next pay-per-view that's coming up. Okay. Yeah. And of that, we know that 4 of the ladies in that 6-man tag match are 2 tag teams, but they're just going to fight randomly against each other, which doesn't make sense, but they could team up to try and become champion. There's all a thickness to that or whatever.
Sure.
These girls come to work and say, we don't like the direction of what you're doing with our titles. Okay. Because we're not defending them now in the next pay-per-view that's coming up, and instead you're putting us in this match. Management, and they're like, and the thing that we're confused about is the people who we'd be fighting, that we'd expect to fight at the next pay-per-view, is the other tag team in the match. Why are we not having a fight, like something to happen between us now to set up for that pay-per-view match. And they literally tell them, from my understanding, that's not a plan now. That's the plan for the after to the next pay-per-view. So it's not that it's not happening, but it's not happening now.
Okay.
And then they say the plan is that tonight, one of you Naomi, you are going to win tonight's match and go against the champion for the world title at the pay-per-view. And Sasha Banks, the other girl, you're going to lose tonight, but we're going to set it up so that you fight Ronda Rousey at the pay-per-view for her title.
Oh, that's great. That sounds good.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Especially because Sasha is not up and coming, but has been trying to gain momentum. She was in Mandalorian. Like she's trying to gain more traction in entertainment overall. So her fighting Ronda would get her more visibility.
100%.
In my opinion.
And
wait, Ronda Rousey is wrestling now?
Yeah, she's been there for a couple of years.
Yeah. And let's make it clear.
That acting career didn't work out.
It did.
I mean, when you go to Expendables, you become expendable. Show jokes itself. But anyways, the point is though, the girls are told this, and then they're told, well, you're going to go to the pay-per-view, but both of you will win your way to the pay-per-view, but you're going to lose at the pay-per-view. You're not going to win your titles.
Yeah.
The argument is then for them to say, well, we're not happy because that makes us look bad. Even though I don't think it makes you look bad. It follows like a good story. You are champions as tag teams. You're not the champion, but you're good enough to fight the champion, but the champion so happens to beat you.
And you don't lose your tag team belt?
No. They retain everything. Their complaint apparently is that, well, no, we don't want to do that because that makes us look bad. And now you're screwing over other 8 people because instead of us having our own program with the other tag team people, other girls could be in this match, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And that results in somebody being more angry and them walking out essentially the equivalent of a few minutes before the show starts, to the point that the announcers on the show are announcing the match. And then like 2 seconds later, one of them is told to be like, the last match of the night is now a 2-person fight. And because these people walked out on the show, he said it on TV. Which I was like, that's odd.
I feel like they're working us.
I feel like how but I mean, it's wrestling, man. It's what they do.
Agreed. Yeah. However,
why would the announcer announce
every single news reporter, every single news reporter who's gone to it has confirmed at this point in time that it is not a work. So now the two debates. One is, did it work?
Hold on, Dave. When you say news reporters, quote unquote.
Okay, believe it or not,
you're talking about people who are reporting exclusively on wrestling.
There are plenty of not that they have their own magazine, but magazines have their own columnists who then do that. Yes, there's people who report on wrestling, this type of stuff, just like you have.
And are they reporting on wrestling as a sport?
No, they're reporting it like, oh, this company signed this company, this person really got injured, like behind the scenes reporting. Let's call it that way.
And they've never been wrong about a work.
Well, the thing is this, there's some people who you don't trust, and there's some people who are like, well, this person's relatively accurate. And when you have enough people who are usually relatively accurate, all saying the same thing, it usually has some form of legitimacy.
All right, Mobs, hit it, because I know you're going to ask.
Wouldn't a good work, as they call it, be so good that you wouldn't realize it's a work?
Right.
Well,
wouldn't that be like the actual, like the goal of when they're doing a work?
Yeah, the best work ever would go out of its way to the point where even the insider journalists are reporting it as it's not a work.
Yeah, because the running joke, but the easiest joke about wrestling is that it's fake, right?
Yeah, obviously.
So wouldn't then the ultimate goal be to make someone think that something wasn't fake, but it is fake?
Agreed. Yeah. So you guys think it's work, but my question to you is this. Let's hypothetically say that it's not a work. Let's say this actually happened and all these facts that I've told you are true.
Okay.
Would these people have the right to do this? Or it's like, yo, stop bitching because you get paid to do this.
I mean, if their contract stipulates that they're supposed to be X and Y on Friday and you don't show up as X and Y on Friday, then that sounds like your boss can be like, sounds like we're gonna see you later because you were
sounds like we're not gonna see you.
yeah. Because I mean, at this point, Mr. McMahon, whichever, or Stephanie McMahon, whoever's running the show over there these days,
it's unfortunately that the first one, the one who's like senile practically. Yes, Vince McMahon.
I gotta say, I saw pictures of Vince McMahon the other day, and I was just like, "Is that Vince? He looks old. This man looks.
How dare you age shame him?
I'm sorry. The Vince McMahon that I remember, who used to come out and fight Stone Cold and stuff like that, which I get was like 15 years ago, so I understand. I haven't paid attention to wrestling in a long time.
Probably longer than 15.
Probably, but like when I saw him on. Like, I don't remember what it was I saw him on recently, but his whole neck and everything looked gaunt. And I was just like, for a second, I was just like, did he get sick and I not know? And then I started feeling bad.
Vince McMahon must be how old? He must be like 90 something now at this point.
Nah, Vince ain't 90.
He's definitely in the 70s, if potentially close to 80.
Hell no, he's not 70.
Yeah, hell yeah. Ric Flair is 73 years old.
Wow, he's only 76. I thought he'd be older.
Vince McMahon is 76 years old?
76, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then he looks his age.
Brian's like, he looks pretty good then.
No, honestly,
he doesn't look like a skeleton anymore. He looks about good.
Yeah, like when I saw him, I was just like, this man looks old. But if you're telling me he's 76, it's like, this man looks his age. All right. That just seems fair.
I just got to say that the one episode that Brian invites me on, we're talking about wrestling.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that there was a hate. But you know what? You can always talk about.
No, it's not. It's not.
No, it's all good. Look, dude, I'm the guest. You talk about whatever you want to talk.
It's not hate. It's more just okay. So let's look at this completely logical, Dave, from the perspective of two people who do not watch wrestling. Two employees of an organization that is an entertainment organization that is mostly scripted are told what the script is supposed to be, don't agree with the script, and walk out on the show. However, because of the nature of the show, even doing that sounds like it's scripted.
Which, you know what? If they were smart, they would just roll with it and write the script along with that.
If I was Vince, I'd be like, all right, let's just rework the script.
Because then it just makes it look even crazier, because then people who are trying to figure out whether it is fake or not fake, then they really won't know anymore. And Vince has pulled the wool over everyone's eyes.
Yeah. If I was really, really good at the WWE, because we've been talking every time we talk about the WWE and when Skinny's here and all of it, everyone always says the WWE is sliding. It has not been good for you guys. Always say it hasn't been good for years. The writing hasn't been as good. The storytelling hasn't been as good. The wrestling is great, but the overall show.
So what keeps you watching it then? Is it just because you're so invested after all these years? Like, you know, when you watch a show that's gotten bad and you still keep watching it and you're like, I don't know why I watched it, but it's on again.
This isn't Elaine with the sandwich or whatever from Seinfeld when she wants to like buy enough sandwiches to buy the bad sandwich. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Listen, I've invested so much. I need to get this.
Yeah, that's not what this is. What it is the fact that
he actually likes the sandwich. He actually likes the sandwich.
I like another show that I like wrestling in general, and I keep up with the I would call it the trends or the dirt sheets, whatever you want to call them.
Sure.
And the ones that I do like trust or whatever, because like they're usually accurate, I'll read them and be interested. But when I read this, because I didn't actually watch the show, I read this and I was just like, this is the not insanity, but like I'm thinking about, I'm like, so you have titles. You're going to go and look like you guys are going over so you could go fight for other titles. Okay, you don't win that. Then you get to do the thing you want. Why are you complaining? Like, that's the logic I don't understand of like the thing in general.
Yeah.
You can never know with people, right? Like, some people will be upset about whatever. You can't.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're not going to be able to get into someone's head over
I'll
something
say
like
this,
that.
Dave, I'll say this. I do agree with the idea that these two are already tag team champions. You don't need to use them or to go over with them. If there's other people, why don't you give other people the opportunity to fight Ronda Rousey and that other person at WrestleMania? Like, why split up the tag team that's finally gotten the championship, that holds the championship, to put them in a match split to fight these other two people and not have them do a tag team like championship match, which is what they're working on right now. That's what I don't understand.
Agreed, but you could also spin it as a team we have the gold and now we're going to have all the gold. Like there's ways to have
But
that
do
as a
they
good
seem-
storyline.
But are they the ambitious type? Like, is that written into their characters? That
Definitely
they
100% for Sasha Banks. 110%.
Sure.
I haven't watched, like I said, I haven't watched the show in detail in a long time,
Yeah.
but like I remember when I was watching her and I saw like her nickname is the boss. So
yeah.
you know, like and the other person who's
And Mobs,
involved.
there's another one called the Man.
That's true.
These are the nicknames now. The Boss.
I just can I
Man.
share my screen?
I
Let me
think
see if this works, because when Dave's trying to explain this stuff, I'm like, I can't. Oh, I don't think I can do it.
okay.
What can I do? Let's see. Anyways, I was just basically feeling like,
If you send me,
I was feeling like this.
Oh,
I was feeling like this.
The meme as you were explaining.
that's basically
For those
that's
of you who
basically what I
didn't
was
see,
feeling.
it's the meme of the lady with the math equations.
Yes. Sorry, I forgot for the audio. Is the lady with the math equations. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do, man?
Yeah,
I like the idea that maybe it actually is fake, and if it's not fake, if it was real, if I was the writers, I would roll with it, because now you actually have an opportunity where you have your viewing audience actually thinking something legit happened, and you can really mess with them, because then, I mean, that's ultimately what you want too. Don't you want that, right? Like, you want watching these things to just, you don't? I mean,
I'm just like, I'm like, you're saying, like, as a surprise or as a throw?
No, but that's it, Dave, you as a fan of wrestling, knowing that this is a scripted show and that the decision on who wins the match is decided the night of, in those moments, to move the story along. Wouldn't you like to know that everything that you think you know about the show thrown out the window? You don't actually know as much as you know.
That there's a possibility that even something scripted may not actually be scripted, and you don't know what's scripted and what's not scripted. I feel like that would be more of a wild ride.
Baby.
Yeah.
That's fair. I guess for me, it's just like, if you're thinking on it as a promoter, or even as a fan, if I was really interested, like, let's say I was really interested in actually seeing that match, let's say the 6-person match, like, let's say I'm about to watch the show because it was publicized, right? It's like the week before, whatever, they hype up the show and all that stuff. If I was in a position where, like, oh, I actually want to see this match, and now you just walk off, as a fan, I would be like, both like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd just be like, well, that's disappointing. Maybe I'll change the channel if that's the reason why I was going to watch the show.
You know which match is never going to get canceled, though? She-Hulk versus everyone else out there.
Excellent segue, Brian. Bringing it back.
And for those of you who tuned in, heard us mention She-Hulk for 2 seconds and then completely divert, welcome back to our She-Hulk conversation. We watched the fuck out of that trailer, and it's a weird one, folks. Disney has lost all its money. They're broke. They can't afford CGI anymore. Man. What is this?
Okay, can we talk about, like, I actually thought the tone of the trailer was kind of cool. It was something different. I mean, like Dave was, I think you were mentioning that too. It was something that was different, you know, like, I like when the MCU does something that's different than the usual run-of-the-mill superhero, or like a dark and brooding kind of stuff. Like, this looks like it's kind of different. It's kind of fun. It looks like it's more of a sitcom almost, in a way. Like a single camera kind of Arrested Development style sitcom sort of. But man, when that CG hit, it was rough. And what's worse was the scenes with Bruce Banner. His CG looks fine, and then her CG looks terrible.
But maybe, do you think it's one of those things where, well, no, I guess it's the official trailer. They wouldn't be scrubbing it still.
Well, okay, see, that's what I was thinking initially. I was like, oh, well, maybe this was just like initial trailer. But then I'd be like, what? Who in their right mind saw that and was like, you know what? This is ready to go, guys.
She looks like, because the thing is, like, now that you were making me reflect on it, she didn't have any shading much on her person. Like, there's not a lot of detail. Like, it's always that one green the whole time. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, when you were seeing Bruce, there's, like, he has shades, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I think I agree with you. I think one of the major issues with how she looks is she looks weirdly polished. Like
she looks like she's been extracted from that YTV show Reboot.
Right. Yes. That is one of the most accurate depictions. She looks like Dot.
Totally does. Yes.
She looks like Dot from Reboot, but done in live action.
Yeah, it's like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing. Like they're mixing that kind of animation with regular film.
And then I agree that when you watch the trailer, you can see that Bruce is still done as Bruce. Like Bruce looks clean.
Yeah,
like
it's like they're like, okay, we gotta put the millions of dollars into Ruffalo, and
and when you see them next to each other, it's almost like, ooh, why did you do one?
Look at this! Look at her hair.
Yeah, so we have the trailer playing. If you guys are listening to this, don't forget you can always tune in on Geektastic on Twitch.tv. But yeah, like when you see her hair, when you see her everything about her next to Bruce. And it's like, but why is Bruce so polished and why is she not polished?
She looks like a cardboard cutout, or like she looks like it's like as if Bruce was actually filmed for real, like as if he really exists, and she's the implanted CGI in his scene, even though they're both CGI. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really. It looks like they had a few more layers of rendering to do on her character.
And the irony is that there's an ex-wrestler in this commercial.
Oh, who's the wrestler?
The guy who does this.
The flexing?
He's an ex-wrestler, and he's also married to some famous singer. I forget who it is at the moment.
Famous singers. Gotta love them. Letting their men go out there and be part of these weird TV shows. Thanks, ladies.
I'm going to find that while you
But I mean, so for those of you who have watched the trailer, haven't seen the trailer yet, by all means, I recommend watching it so that you can see what we're talking about, because it really is a weird look. I find that she just does it like we were saying. She looks like Dot from Reboot. It looks like they didn't do their final passes, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they are going to do a little bit of tweaking, because I feel like people have reacted enough.
Oh my god, I'm sure it's unfortunate too, because like if it wasn't for that, I feel like the trailer probably would have been well received.
Yes, I think so too.
It's like the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer.
Yeah.
Except that was a whole movie.
You know who'd have loved that Reboot reference? Jaws D.
Yes, he probably would have. But man, 9 episodes. That's another thing, folks on the internet. Why do you guys act stupid? Like the people on the internet who are like, Moon Knight got 6. Why does she get 9? It's like, guys, we knew she was getting 9. We know she has a half-hour show.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
they've already mentioned that too. Like Feige has said, I think, that he's trying to stick to max 6 hours, and how they spread out the 6 hours. They're going to do it how they want to do it. So.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of lame to see all these people arguing like it's not fair. It's like, guys, just pay attention for 2 seconds to what people say, and you'll see. We knew this was coming. It's boring when you like. I get bored when I see in groups, in like Facebook groups or on Twitter and stuff like that, people complaining about something that literally has been spoken about for the series from jump.
But even at that, like, just be happy with what you do have. Not all the characters are getting shows.
Yeah, that too.
Who would have thought we would have gotten a She-Hulk show?
Never.
I'm more surprised about Moon Knight, to be honest. But
that's an even better comment. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, out of all the characters, She-Hulk definitely would have gotten a show before Moon Knight.
And you know what? Like, based on the tone from that trailer, that's how the comics were. The comics were kind of jokey.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Isn't she the original fourth wall breaker even before Deadpool?
I think so. Yeah, I think she.
Which always ticks people off. They're just like, whatever, man. It's just like, no, dude. If you read her comics from her OG run, she breaks the fourth wall, breaks through panels, like does things like sticking out of panels and stuff like that.
Takes people off. By people, you mean incels?
Oh no! Oh god.
I'm not even.
Damn right, incels, you suck. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, Dave went off. Dave, are you trying to tell us something?
No, I'm obviously not, Brian.
True. 2 years with your partner.
Yeah.
But still, that was funny. That was perfect.
How long have I been here and I've already insulted people? Who cares? It's insane.
Yeah. Fuck incels. Let's talk about.
That's the problem, Brian.
That might have to be the title. Fuck incel. That's the problem. Man, and like, can you imagine the fact that some people I self-identify? Anyways, bunch of weird losers. Morbius. Speaking of bad Marvel ideas.
Speaking about losers.
This is sadly the reason why Brian asked me to come on this. Because speaking about losers, I was one of said losers who decided to watch this movie. And it is.
Why did you decide? Like, I know.
Okay. I full disclosure, man. I am very careful with what I spend my time on, but I do enjoy a terrible movie. And
so let's give some background. Mobs and I regularly talk about films pretty much daily, TV and films. We'll talk about it almost daily. Morbius is one of those films that we were like, do you think we're going to see this? And we were both like, yeah, we're probably not going to see this.
When we talk about films too, like we talk about like good movies. We talk about movies. You know, like a few days ago, we were talking about how No Country for Old Men is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like we don't just talk about whatever stuff, but like, man,
like solid films.
The reason why I wanted to watch this was I've heard how terrible it was. And as a kid reading Spider-Man comic books, Morbius obviously was around it. So I had a friend who was super into Morbius. And I had 90 minutes to kill. And I decided it was like a rare Sunday where I wasn't going to work. So I made myself a nice breakfast, sat down in front of the TV, and I was like, let's watch this train wreck. And it was a bad movie.
Okay, wait. But there's two levels of bad movie.
Yes.
There's the bad movie that's enjoyable because it's a bad movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's just the bad movie. Like, for example, some people like the movie The Room. I think the room is just a piece of shit.
Look.
I personally hate him, but that's a whole. So this movie, wait. So
I'll be upfront with you. I do enjoy watching a movie that is so bad that it is hilarious, and you can find at least some sort of charm in a movie being bad. This movie is charmless. There is
it's just a bad movie. It's just a bad movie.
It's like I don't even know.
He's lost for words, folks.
It's not the worst movie I've seen.
Okay.
It's definitely not the worst movie I've seen.
If you had to name, this is a good question. If you had to name a movie that was like it's just better than this movie, but worse than this movie. If you were able to give a range.
A movie that's bad, but a little bit better than this movie?
Yeah, and then vice versa.
Okay, so me and Brian were talking about the last movie we saw in person in a movie theater before the pandemic knocked off was Bloodshot.
Yeah.
And Bloodshot is a bad movie, but let me tell you, I had more fun watching Bloodshot than I did watching this movie. Look at Dave's face. Dave went full-on bug-eyed right now.
And of course, it's another
I've not watched Bloodshot because of Brian's review.
Oh, yeah. And the funny thing too was a few days before I even watched this, me and Brian were reminiscing of that horrible day of watching Bloodshot.
Yeah.
And Bloodshot was again one of those movies that's bad, but is not even so bad that it's at least kind of funny or fun bad. It was just like, this was just kind of a waste of time bad.
And it was so bad that when we were talking about it, we were forgetting full sections of the movie. Yeah. And we were trying to remind ourselves, and we were like, oh, we've blocked this out. Like
I forgot Guy Pearce was in that movie, and he's probably thankful that I forgot he was in that movie. But I mean, it was just kind of it was a tedious watch, and it was a watch where after a while, like you just kind of stop paying attention. And the worst of it is it literally is only, I think, an hour, 40 minutes. It's not a long movie. And when a movie that length loses your attention, like when you're looking at like, how much more do I have to go in this movie? And you're only an hour in, that's a bad sign, man.
Then what's a movie that would be worse than
it?
Worse by like not necessarily the largest of margins though.
Superhero based or any movie?
Superhero based? You can use any movie if you want to use superhero.
If I'm trying to think superhero based, I think obviously Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it.
So Thor 2 is worse than this movie.
It's worse than this. Yes.
And Thor 2 is the bar for like worst superhero.
And it is.
That's your
worse
call. Mine
than
is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
is
true. You've said-
Oh my god, Iron Man 3 is like the Godfather compared to this movie.
Oh my god.
And like,
Oh my
look,
God.
I personally don't hate Iron Man 3, but Iron Man 3 also I feel it has a lot of problems going for it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, you're trying to compare that to this. This is, man, Dave. I feel like you guys. I want you guys to watch this movie. Just so,
I'm not
just
getting
so,
good
like,
reasons. The
just so, like, you
comparisons
could be, like-
you are giving right now are not helping my wanting to go see this
like,
movie.
We could watch this movie, and this could be our nom, guys. Like, like we could bond over. I
Flashbacks.
endured Morbius.
Remember that scene in the subway?
So
It
like,
was
if
really
we go
hard.
through it, I mean, I've got some notes here, man, because like we gotta rail through how bad this movie is. The first 20 minutes, okay? The first 20 minutes of the movie, and if I can say like what are positives about the movie,
Oh dear.
the cinematography is fine. So it's not a bad looking movie.
You don't look that convincing telling me that.
I know. Like, it
You're
sounds
like,
like you-
you're about to say that, but like immediately shit on the CGI. Like that's what I feel is gonna happen right now.
It's not a bad looking movie, but in that like it's also not anything exceptionally to look at also, right? Like it's like okay, this is fine. It's not like Thor the Dark World is a terribly shot movie. Like it feels like I'm watching like a TV movie. This at least feels like I'm watching a film.
Yeah.
It's a bad film, but at least looks like the guy behind the camera was like, I'm earning my paycheck at least. And you know what? Respect.
Yeah.
So, the first 20 minutes of this movie, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, this is actually not terrible. Like it wasn't amazing, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
And it's building up to something that I'm like, maybe this isn't like, you know, when you guys watched Venom and you're like, oh, this is going to be awful. And then while you're watching it, you're like, you know what? This is bad, but this is not terribly bad.
Yeah.
you
start to enjoy some of the fight scenes.
Yeah, you're like, you know, this is not like a 1 on 10. This is like a 3 on 10. You know? That's how I was feeling in the first 20 minutes. Like maybe this is not going to be terrible.
Like there's a glimmer of hope in the 20 minutes.
But then after that, and I had to scroll through to kind of figure out like there's one thing that really bothered me, which is when Morbius does the experiment that turns him into Morbius, he's on a barge in like international waters. And that just goes to show how much the first 20 minutes really held my attention, because it didn't hold my attention at all for me to clock that there's a reason why he's on that barge, because they go to that barge. And I'm like, why are they on this barge? And it's apparently because for some reason he has to do this experiment on international waters. No explanation whatsoever given for it. The other thing that is not explained, and I only realized afterwards when I was thinking about this before the podcast, was the illness that he has, that him and Matt Smith have in the movie.
Yeah.
They never say what it is.
Oh, really? They don't do the explanation of like blood?
You have no idea what this man's ailment is. You just know that he's really messed up, and you get the impression that they don't have a lot of time left and that they're going to die soon.
Oh.
But that's it. You don't know what it is. But you know what? You kind of don't really need to know what it is.
Is it because you kind of don't really need to watch this movie?
It's the basis.
You know what?
Of the whole movie.
That too. So there's that. The other issue that I had with the movie, and like, you know, let's go through some of these screen caps, Ryan. If you can scroll back to the first one, I'll explain it too for the people who are listening on the podcast. So the first screen cap is this one. When they're on the barge, there's a scene where his friend Martine, I don't remember the actress's name, but she's someone that you recognize. I think she was in Six Underground and like a bunch of other movies and stuff.
Yeah.
A bunch of, unfortunately, bad movies. She gets knocked by a mercenary, hits her head on the corner of like a piece of machinery and is knocked out. And you're like, okay, she's hurt. She's not this badly hurt, where she's in the hospital, intubated, and on what appears to be life support, all from hitting her head. Like, I did not understand that. And then that too, like, move to the next one, yeah, Brian. Like, can you move the next one forward, actually? Keep going.
Oh.
So there's a scene then where the cops visit her in the hospital, and she looks like she's totally fine. Like, you've just been intubated. and looked like you were on life support, but everything is apparently a-okay now for you. So anyways, none of this stuff makes sense. And if you're gonna try and watch this movie and pay attention to these little, like if you're gonna nitpick, you are not going to enjoy this movie. And you know, there are moments where I will watch movies with Brian, and Brian immediately cannot suspend disbelief. And it's terrible, because there you go. He cannot suspend disbelief, and he will always point out the huge flaws in the movie. This movie is rife with flaws that me, as someone, like when I sit down and watch a movie, I'm ready. I will suspend disbelief. I will check reality at the door. I'm willing to accept what you're going to give me.
No,
this movie is really giving you so little. You can't do that. So she hits her head, whatever, and she's fine. There's another scene then where Morbius he's done the process, and he's trying to figure out like what are the limitations of his powers, what are his abilities and stuff. And within the span of what's maybe like, I don't know, 3 or 5 minutes of film time of him in his lab trying to figure it out, the man has literally figured out everything and trained himself completely. Like he like knows, man. He knows like agility and everything. Like, do you remember there's a scene in Jessica Jones where there's an episode in Jessica Jones where Trish is learning her powers and is trying to like, you know, Dave, she's training herself.
Dave hates that scene. Dave,
are you talking about when she catches her cell phone on her foot?
No. There's like a scene where she's trying to learn how high she can jump, like how agile she is. And like there's instances where she's falling, she's hurting herself, she's doing it again, she's practicing to see what her limits are and stuff. There is nothing like this in this movie. In 5 minutes, he's like, I have the constitution of an Olympic athlete. Like, that's it. Done.
So he matrixed himself.
100%. I mean, dude, there's a scene where he is trying to figure out how to do the echolocation that he's realizing he can do. And he just goes, I have to breathe deeply and center myself. And immediately he knows how to do it. It's wild. Like, this man is probably the strongest superhero in whatever this universe is and stuff. The movie has like all of the standard superhero tropes. Like there's a mentor, who I think played by Jared Harris, if I remember that's his name, the guy from Mad Men and Chernobyl. And he's another one of the actors who's totally wasted in the movie. Like the guy's a great actor. He has absolutely nothing to do except die in the movie. And like a scene that's supposed to be like, you know, when the mentor dies and it supposedly sets up some sort of conflict or something that has to be resolved. So poorly done.
And he's his only like quote unquote family, right?
That's the other problem too, is they try to set it up that Jared Harris and Matt Smith are super tight. Like they're all three very close together. There's like supposed to be, I guess, a father kind of son bond with all three of them, and like a brotherly bond between Matt Smith and Jared Leto's character. And it's all gas pedal through so quickly that in the first 20 minutes, they are setting it up. And then after that first 20 minutes, they're just like, you get, this is what we're trying to do, right? Okay, we're going to do all this other garbage now. So like, there's a scene where,
so sad.
Again, like another superhero trope where the villain is a close friend of his who basically gets powers and for some reason or other decides to do all bad with his powers. Like
he doesn't have the.
There's so much stuff that's done to death that's already been done in so many other movies, not even superhero movies, but like any kind of these movies in general. Yeah. And it's just done absolutely terrible in this. Like the woman scientist in the movie that we saw in the clips there, she ends up becoming like a love interest somehow, which makes no sense because you're assuming that they're just colleagues and they're just really good friends. But I guess there obviously always has to be a love interest and they somehow shoehorn that in. Everything is just so undercooked in this movie. If we could go back to some of the screen caps, there's one in particular, I'll share it, Brian, that I can't get enough of about how stupid this is.
When you jokingly say you recommend it, do you actually recommend the movie?
No, I do not. Okay. I do not recommend this movie. I can't recommend this movie. This is terrible.
It's a bad movie. It's no Fantastic Four from 1994.
You know what? That is a terrible movie, but I feel like there's enough campiness in that movie that it can be somewhat fun.
It's an amazing drinking game.
But like, okay, do you see this screen cap of him drinking? This is him drinking blood.
Yeah.
And this is the funniest part of the movie whenever he drinks blood. Because like my dude, it's like he's taking a high C juice pack and just squeezing it into his mouth, and it looks so comical. And I feel like the only reason they did it this way is because I guess to rate it PG-13, they can't have blood spewing all over the place on his face.
Wait, is there not a lot of blood in a Morbius movie?
There's very little blood, and there's one confrontation on that barge where he fights a lot of people. And I will say that fight, that the way that they film it, they managed to still make it look like it's kind of graphic, but still PG-13. But yes, there's no blood in this movie. It's ridiculous.
That's stupid. I'm sorry. You there's certain things you can't do. You cannot have a vampire movie
with no blood.
This is like exactly why I scream at people who like Twilight, because it's a vampire movie. Twilight is not a vampire movie. No vampire is placed directly in sunlight and glistens. They burst into flames.
Yeah.
You have certain rules that you have to apply. One of you burst into flames unless it's addressed properly, because that's why Twilight sucks. And the other things you gotta have blood.
That's one of the things. I agree that when it comes to the lore of vampire, it's been around for so long that if you want to try and take a stab at changing it, by all means. But like Dave said, and like we say on the podcast,
by take a stab, you mean take a steak?
You sure?
I need to get that sound.
Really took a bite out of that one.
Oh god!
Sorry, these jokes suck.
Oh no! Please stop with the puns.
I'm bleeding out, guys.
But
you're the vampire of this review. You're sucking the life out of Morbius, fuck. Or at least my interest of thereof.
But you have to do it better. You have to do it better. If you're gonna try and change vampiric lore that has been around since God knows how long, hundreds of years, you have to do it better when you're doing it. And
the funny thing too is that they constantly make references to him, I guess, being a vampire, even though I think technically he's not a vampire.
Sure.
And so that's his whole thing where he's like, I'm not that kind of vampire. It's really stupid.
Right.
It's really stupid. But this screen that I got here, this is a scene where when Morbius gets his powers, he has like a chamber in his lab that's full of those crazy bats that he's studying.
Yeah.
And he walks into that chamber and he mentions something about how like usually those bats would tear people apart, but for some reason they have a kinship with him. They treat me almost like I'm a brother to them. Ugh. And first of all, it's really obnoxious that I remember this much about this movie. It's not how I want my memory banks filled up. But he walks in this chamber and the music swells and the music sounds like the worst knockoff to the Batman Begins theme, like the Batman theme from those movies. Man. And it's like, I'm wondering, was that an actual tip of the hat or are they just really terrible? This is another scene that I thought was hilarious where, you know, it's a part where a movie is so bad that things are just assumed. So Morbius is in like a glass cage and he needs blood, but he's locked himself in this cage to see how long he can last without getting blood. And he's basically dying in there. And his friend comes and his friend's like, what's wrong? Are you sick? How can I help you? And Morbius writes in blood on the glass, blood, and then underlines it. And in the direction that he underlines it, there's no arrow, no direction, no inclination towards anything. His friend goes, oh, you need blood from the freezer?
Oh my God.
Somehow knows to go to the freezer and get some blood. He ends up in jail at one point with the cops. The cops put him in a holding cell. I don't know how he manages to have a diary with him, and the diary is full of his notes that could basically incriminate him with everything, but it's all there. It's all in the jail cell, guys. So like another dumb thing that the movie does. Here's another one of him drinking blood again.
Blood.
Check him out.
Now that you've explained that they didn't want to show blood spewing
I'm sure this is why.
Yeah. It makes it even sadder to see those scenes.
But it makes him look like he's doing something else, you know.
Like... So here's a scene of when he fights. When he fights, for some reason, there's these weird kind of color swirls. Like it looks like they're smoky or something. And like, I get it that the Morbius comment, like Morbius always kind of had these kind of trails, but it always looked more like it was because his clothes were tattered.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they did this. And then when I looked up on IMDb, the director said his inspiration behind these color trails was the Pokemon movie. or Pokemon. This is I'm not even making this up, man.
So wait. So his motivation.
Pokemon.
So his motivation in a quote unquote horror, quote unquote vampire, quote unquote comic book movie
Pokemon
is inspired by
A
the bubbly, animated, definitely childhood friendly, fluffy teddy bears.
Gotta catch them all.
But so
well, they hired the right guy.
I just don't understand. I just don't understand why.
There's a lot to not understand.
Like the trails are supposed to represent his energy, his body flow, the air currents.
Brian, this is the paper that survived the burning room.
I know. Every time someone tells me I'm nitpicking, all I think of is paper not burning in a room. And I try to explain to people, my only gripe with these TV shows and these movies is I want them to abide by the logic of the physics in the world they're creating. Paper burns. You haven't introduced a world where paper doesn't burn. So if you light an entire room on fire, the paper burns. That's the rule. If this guy needs blood, then he should be drinking blood like a vampire. If he doesn't have it for a certain amount of time, he doesn't have it. If this guy is on the run and he has one of the most recognizable faces, him running around town with his hoodie down should alarm people.
Well, here's the other thing. So at this point now, he's on the run in the movie, and he encounters his colleague on the bus because he needs to talk to her.
Dr. Pencroft.
He sneaks up behind her on the bus, and he's talking to her. And in the screen cap, you can see he's kind of hiding. He's got a hooded jacket pulled over his head. He's trying to conceal himself. She's just managed to lose the cops who are tailing her. And he's like, I need to talk to you. So they go to a cafe. This is how he decides to talk to her in the cafe. Completely out in the open, the man has now removed his hood. He is in the cafe in public. I'd like to point out as well, too, his face is all over the news at this point.
But that looks like a dingy speakeasy. Wait, no, it doesn't. It looks like it's important.
It's a full-on diner cafe, man. And like in this scene, too, you'll see, like, it's not like it's empty. There are many people in this cafe.
But is it like a cafe with a TV with the news in the background showing his face while he's there?
I don't remember if there was a TV on or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point now, the guy's been on the run for a couple days, and for sure, there's got to be someone in that place in New York City who's seeing that this man is on the run.
Oh, that's
and
the
then,
other thing. This movie
he decides to leave the cafe, and he's got to put his hood back on.
This movie takes place in New York.
In New York.
New York.
Yeah.
Is there any references to Venom other than the jokey reference he makes where
there's only one reference to Venom where he is basically stealing a lab from a bunch of counterfeiters who have a lab underground or something, and he tells them to leave, and he shows him his face, and he tells them that he's Venom, and they run away.
Right, that joke that you see in the trailer. Okay.
Oh, there's another reference to it too, where the cops who are completely useless characters in the movie, Tyrese and Al Madrigal, who are both, I find Tyrese can be charming guys on camera. And Al Madrigal is hilarious, and they're totally wasted and useless. They're there just to put up the minimal amount of chase on Morbius. And so, like,
oh man.
I mean, this guy he manages to find a lab, and he now has a lab somehow underground. Anyways, makes no sense. So there's that.
Outside of Venom, is there any reference to any other character?
Yeah, that's
like Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, yeah. So sorry. So with regards to Venom, the Al Madrigal and Tyrese's characters work for the FBI, and they basically mention something that happened in San Francisco, which I'm assuming is Venom. Aside from that, so let's move to the closest reference to Spider-Man. This is a shot of Morbius flying, and when he flies, it just looks like the man is parachuting or free falling. I don't know. It really makes no sense. Here's your reference to Spider-Man. The post-credit scene, which we need to get to.
Michael Keaton.
I don't even know how this movie actually ends because by the last half hour, I was so checked out watching it.
Yeah.
But Michael Keaton shows up in the post-credit scene. Basically what happens is Adrian Toomes, Vulture, shows up in a jail cell in this universe.
Yeah.
And he looks in a mirror. He makes some sort of stupid joke of like, hopefully they got better food in this joint. Cuts to a newscast. The newscast is like saying how some unidentified man, Adrian Toomes, showed up in a jail cell. He's probably going to get released because we don't know who he is, whatever. They let him out of prison. Now, the only thing that seemed bizarre to me was, based on what happened at the end of Venom 2 and at the end of No Way Home, with Venom got sucked out of his universe, but then he got sent back to his universe.
Yeah.
Toomes gets sucked into this universe, and now he's stuck here for some reason. Like, none of this makes sense. There's no consistency. So then the next scene is, you see Morbius driving somewhere. He has like GPS coordinates. He drives out to like the countryside or something, and Vulture greets him in full uniform. And this is probably because Keaton was saying, probably told his agent, I don't want to shoot any more of this trash. Just ADR me in and have a stuntman stand in for me or something. Vulture shows up at the end here, and he goes, "Hey, doctor," to Morbius. "I've been reading up about you." And Morbius looks like he's all defensive and stuff. And he's like, "I'm listening." And he's like, "So I don't know how I got here, but I think it has something to do with Spider-Man." How?
Every time I hear that scene, I hate it more.
How did Spider-Man send you here? How do you even have an assumption that Spider-Man sent you
why
here?
would and
Spider-Man doesn't have powers to
and all of Vulture's dealings with Spider-Man were as close to street level as those Spider-Man movies could be. There was no, anything magical or anything like that going on. Anyways, he says that to him, and then he goes to Morbius. "I feel like a couple guys like you and me should team up and do some good." And Morbius goes, "Intriguing." End of movie.
Yeah. All that to say,
oh,
if you have access to sources, it's on sources now. I would say go check it out if you want to. If you don't want to, good. At this point, I'm so beyond wanting to watch it. I don't care anymore. It's going to be one of those movies that I watch at some point on a really lazy day at a 2x speed while playing video games, with it just playing in the background on my phone, because I'm offended on behalf of Spider-Man fans that this is what Sony, every time Sony says we're going to make something for the Spider-Man universe, they put out something that's subpar.
Yeah.
And at this point, just work with Marvel. Just work with them. They have the resources. Yeah, sell the rights or keep the rights and work.
Keep the rights. Just say, here's a what's your reasonable fee for this? Take it, and that's
right.
It.
Like, it's unfortunate because, you look at the cast for this movie, and the cast is actually, it's not bad.
No,
but
it's not.
They're absolutely given trash. So, let me tell you the few good things about this movie.
Okay. Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Few, please. The few good things about this movie are the CG on the effects of Morbius's face changing.
Yeah.
Surprisingly is actually pretty good.
That's very specific, though, because that's not CGI. It's a specific moment of CGI, which makes it sound like the rest of the CGI is pretty shit.
But I mean, it's not bad, man. Like, I was expecting, when I heard that, they were going to do all his facial changes or whatever, all the changes that are going to be all CG. I thought this is going to be terrible, but it actually was not bad. And I'm guessing it's because it's very little, I don't know, little CG or whatever, but that wasn't bad. The other thing that's not bad is Matt Smith is actually pretty good in the movie, except he's given absolute garbage to work with. And go ahead.
I almost feel worse for Matt Smith because this is the second time that he's been in a major US blockbuster that just doesn't do well, because he was in the Terminator film.
Was he?
Yeah, he's in one of the Terminator films. And hold on, Matt Smith.
He was supposed to be in Rise of Skywalker and ended up cutting him out or something.
He's in Terminator Genesis. He's the T-5000. And that's another one that Terminator Genesis is not a good movie.
No.
So it's every time Matt Smith does one of these American blockbusters, he just keeps falling into this hole where the movies just aren't good.
No. And as much as I can say too, that he was good, he's good in that, I feel like he saw the script and he thought, you know what, I'm just going to have ridiculous fun with this because this is garbage and it's the only way I'm going to enjoy going to work all day. But there is one particular scene, and Brian, you had mentioned this. There's a scene where he dances.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And I'm assuming the assumption is that he's now cured so he can, you know, his body works. So he's dancing. But the thing that bugs me most about this is Matt Smith's character is loaded. Like, he's rich, upper class guy. And the man cannot tie a tie properly, and he can't fold a collar down properly.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, so on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh. Maybe a 3.
Oh, you really weren't joking when you said
your description of this movie is so demotivating that I don't even want to talk about the other things we're supposed to talk about. I kind of just want to go to Geek News and Rumors to end this horrible taste in my mouth.
I mean, look, I can't recommend it. I would tell you definitely it's a waste. It definitely feels like a waste of time. But I mean, like Brian, like you said, if you have an hour and a half and you want to watch it for the culture or whatever.
For the culture,
you're not gonna get anything out of it. And like at the most you'll watch it thinking, you know, they could have maybe done something that could have been generic but at least fun generic, and they couldn't even do that. Like, the fight sequences are stupid. Like, they couldn't even have good fight sequences.
Sony, I think at this point you have to recognize that Marvel knows what they're doing. Even if, because the weaker Marvel recent films are still exponentially better than the stuff you guys have put out. Yeah. So at some point you probably should just work out a deal with Disney and let them do the movies, and you guys just get your percentage for licensing them back their own characters that Marvel stupidly sold off all those years ago.
Dave looks so disgusted.
Just milk the cow. Like, get the cow for free or whatever that stupid term is.
The thing that Brian mentioned is that's what I just keep thinking. Like, it's clear you guys can't make these movies. It's clear you can't run production on these movies or even oversee a good script. Like, it's not even I could tell you that, oh, it's a good script done badly. No, it's a bad script that had, you know, a serviceable director, had a good cast, and they just because when the script sucks, if the bones are bad, then the body's not going to work properly.
It just feels
like Michael Morbius's crippled body at the beginning of this film.
We're gonna get to Geek News and Rumors. We're doing it. Geek News and Rumors, kids. Speaking of shitty movies, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, folks. For some reason, they want to do a reboot of that one. Talk about shit in the bed like Amber Heard. I mean, that's not even shocking. She did do it. She admitted to it. Oh no, she didn't admit. She said it's a dog now, right?
It was her friend. Then it was a dog. And then there's a lot of oddities now. But apparently her sister went on record today saying that she saw Johnny Depp physically hit Amber, but then Johnny Depp and his bodyguard said no, and I don't know. I didn't see anything, but I don't know how convincing it was.
At this point, again, when it comes to the Depp versus Heard case, it's all hearsay because everyone is biased. Human memory is biased, even like it's biased based on your preferences, unless you have a camera, which even now, deep fakes, I don't know.
Yeah, but
like, there's no line.
The only pictures and the only audios that they have, unfortunately, regardless, like, again, I like to hope that the truth is the truth, but like the only things they actually have so far are things that technically support Johnny.
I don't know about that.
No, because they have pictures of him like getting his finger cut, and like he reported the things that happened to him.
Not everyone reports stuff when they get.
I'm not saying that makes it.
No, I know
equal.
I'll say this: she might not have reported stuff, but then and I said this to everyone that I've spoken to. If you didn't report the stuff and then decide to write an article about him and write the op-ed piece, which you were well within your right to do, he did have the right to come after you, because from his perspective, you don't have any evidence to back up the story that you're telling that now ruins his character in the public eye. So that's where we're at. She decided she wanted to tell the story, which she's allowed to tell. She doesn't have the evidence to back it up, potentially. So he went after her. And now he's saying, well, if you do have the evidence, let's go to court, show the evidence so that you can either prove the things you wrote about me, or I win because you've defamed me. And it's libel. And this is where we're at. And the judges will decide, and every person on earth can have their opinion on it. Ultimately, our opinions don't matter shit, because we're not the judges. It's going to come down to whatever a judge in a courtroom is going to decide. The court of public opinion will ruin their careers outside of the courtroom, but inside the courtroom, that judge is going to make that decision. And that's
I think Johnny took the dump in the bed in person.
It's not impossible. He was on drugs, folks.
Yeah.
I love me some Johnny, but an addict or an alcoholic who might have shit the bed sounds more likely than this woman who decided to shit the bed as a petty revenge. But I don't know. That's my thing. I don't know anything. I'm not.
I just don't know if I just don't know if I care. Like,
Yeah,
no, I don't. I care if she lied to ruin this person's career. Then it's the same anger I have towards people who like misaccuse like anybody of like raping them or anything like that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But like
what we're saying right now is we don't like liars. Yes, that's a fact.
Yeah.
No one likes liars. But at this point, I actually don't give a fuck. I think, and that's the thing I've been saying from jump. These two people were in a toxic relationship. They both were treating each other like shit, and they've now made it everyone in the fucking world's thing to have to deal with. Will you two fuck off and leave us alone? I really wish that the case could stop being publicized, because I genuinely do not care. I don't care what happens to their careers anymore. I don't care if Johnny was wrong. I don't care if she was wrong, because you guys were both in a bad situation and you both did shitty things to each other. And that's the major thing that drives me crazy. I don't think, even if you were to tell me that Johnny did everything, I'd be like, you got it. She did some stuff too. And even if you were able to show that she did everything, I'd be like, and Johnny probably did some shit too. And that's the thing.
I just think it's become such a public circus, because honestly, ultimately, the general public is always ready to support anytime a man to discredit like someone accusing a man. I really feel that.
Right.
I really feel that. I feel like that's the whole reason why this has become a situation, is you have so many Johnny stands who just want to stick up for him because they want to discredit an accuser. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is it really seems like Johnny was abusive too. So
they're both abusive. That's my problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my problem. When two abusers get together and abuse each other, and then they start telling everybody that that this person abused me, and the other one says you abused me, and then but what you're saying is right, and that's the unfortunate part. When it comes to the court of public opinion, that's when it flips and it becomes a situation of, well, discrediting women is such an easy thing to do that we're just going to pick Johnny's side. And there's a lot of people who are just going to Johnny's side being like, well, this woman is lying because women, and they start saying all these crazy things and just like, but you don't know. And that's the thing I keep telling people online, like, guys, you don't know. You don't know. It's the same way, and this is something that probably no one gives a fuck about, but Brendan Schaub, the former MMA and podcast host now, and Kalila Kuhn from Tiger Belly and Trash Tuesday podcast had a whole falling out because once upon a time, Kalila told a story on her podcast about the time that a friend of Bobby's hit on her 7 years ago. She never mentioned him by name. She tells the story once. Reddit starts going crazy. They start figuring out that it's Brendan Schaub. They start telling everyone on Reddit starts going off about Schaub being an asshole. Schaub starts getting mad. He starts calling Bobby, telling Bobby, keep your woman in check. And then the internet blows up and starts calling Kalila all these types of names. She's robbing Bobby. Bobby's being taken advantage of. And they all start trying to discredit Kalila. And I'm just like, so Brendan is friends with Bobby. He hits on his friend's girlfriend. The girlfriend on her podcast is telling stories like she does all the time. They all tell stories. That's what the fuck podcast is. Half of the podcasts out of LA, Tiger Belly, The King and the Sting, all those shows are them telling anecdotes and stories about their lives. And now, because she tells a story about her life where one of her boyfriend's friends hit on her 7 years ago, she's gold digging and insert any other name that these people decide to call her. And that's the thing, because when it comes to women, it's just like, well, we can just dump on them. They're women.
And that's what they do. They attack women like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've said it on this show before, when it comes to the pendulum swing, it swings back. So people are now, everyone was like, we had Me Too, and then everyone was so upset because they're just like, this is too far. So then you just have a whole group, these fucking little incels who go on the internet, type on their little keyboards and start to, these women are evil. When in actuality, it's like, no, they're not. You're just weird losers who have no one else to pick on. And you need to shut the fuck up. Well, you're losers. Fuck off.
But the thing is, this is one of those things where it's like, look, you were a jerk, I was a jerk. Let's walk away. They're not talk trash, but you didn't have to put it in. You didn't have to put it in a public thing. But
she can though if she wants to. That's the point.
She can do. I'm not saying she doesn't have to.
And he has the right to go after her. I just wish the media would shut up about it.
I agree.
Even I wish we would shut up about it. Let's go on with the news.
Go.
Because we're gonna.
I don't know how we got on the tangent, but yeah.
I believe you guys brought it up.
Yeah. We always bring them up. We always bring on the tangents. Star Wars feature film to be the next Star Wars feature film to be Taika with TT after Rogue Squadron delayed.
That movie's getting canceled. Man.
Yes. Let's just, dude.
That movie is not happening.
Lucasfilm, I have concerns because after the Children of Bone got announced when they did the whatever big Disney thing reveal
the
a couple
upfronts.
years ago. Not even upfronts because it wasn't TV. It was the Disney Day that they did where they announced all these projects, and then Lucasfilm was supposed to do this project, and then that got pulled and is now over at Universal. After Lucasfilm said it was going to be their first major project outside of Indiana Jones or Star Wars. This was the new tentpole. We're going to build something cool out of this. And then you guys lose the project? You lost the rights? Like, what are you talking about? So I just have concerns about what's going on over there with regards to film. Television, we can see that they're doing okay. But when it comes to film, I'm just like,
I think they're just getting gun shy with film too. I think, especially with what happened with Rise of Skywalker and what happened with Solo, I think they want to make sure that whatever they're going to do is going to be
what happened with the entire everything after Episode 6. Every single film after Episode 6. Every single anything.
I still like.
I actually like Phantom Menace though.
You like Phantom Menace?
I'm the only person who likes
it.
Are
you
when's the last time you watched it, though?
I watched it recently, actually, but I could see past Jar Jar. Everyone's
wait.
with Jar Jar.
Jar Jar is one of the best parts of that movie, man.
You're the only person who's ever told me that in my life.
I love Jar Jar.
In my life.
Number one Jar Jar fan.
Every time I see the Jar, there's one store that I go to, and I'm not going to tell mobs which one because every time I see it, I think of him. But there's a store that has 5 Jar Jar Binks action figures.
Dude,
I'm not telling you. And every time I see them, I think of him because him and I went to a toy store once.
How could you do me dirty like
and
this?
And he picked up the Jar Jar Binks action figure, and he was just like, "Should I?" And I was just like, I don't even think I said no because I figured if I said no, you'd be more inclined to buy it.
You did say you said please don't buy that.
No, did I? Okay.
Yes.
Because I was like, please, I don't want this to leave the store with us. I was like, please. No.
I don't want it to be associated with my person, even if it's through 6 degrees of separation.
I have a reputation to keep up in that dusty ass store that is now dead.
That store is now dead. So maybe that one purchase could have given it one more year, Brian.
But yeah, Star Wars. We'll see what's going on. John Watts, speaking of Star Wars, and this is the thing that I find the funniest. Remember how John Watts stepped away from the Fantastic Four project because he was overwhelmed and he'd been doing stuff for 10 years? Guess what he's working on, guys? John Watts is doing a Star Wars Disney Plus series that will be out of this world, a coming of age story. What
a jerk.
Set with tweens. I just think he didn't think he could handle the Fantastic Four.
I think he was probably done with having to deal with a superhero movie maybe after having to deal with Sony for
so you go
movies.
to Star Wars?
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, like that's like
I understand what Mobs was saying, but
that's like saying I don't want a pizza, so give me a calzone. What are you talking about?
I don't want a pizza, so give me a calzone.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
That's facts. That is facts. It doesn't make any sense to be like, I think I'm tired of the superhero thing. Star Wars? Like what are you talking about?
Love it.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
I would have loved it more if he went to DC.
Oh my God.
Imagine he's like, I'm done with this.
You know the memes of Feige with a sniper rifle?
Oh
might have started to turn into
that would have been very good. Or if he would have just like completely scraped the bottom of the barrel and was like, you know what, guys? Going to CW.
Oh my
gosh.
Adult Swim and HBO order Rick and Morty the anime. Stupidest idea ever. Who's with me? Dumb ideas. You get a dumb idea. You get a dumb idea. HBO Max. Dumb. I'm
glad that I can be here for some Dan Harmon bashing. I'm waiting for that.
Oh Jesus, I don't even want
It's been so long, right?
Harmon.
Oh my God.
You dumb motherfucker.
Oh man.
You know what's really annoying about the Dan Harmon thing? The fact that this fucker keeps making money.
That he's Dan Harmon?
He just keeps making money. And he's not even writing anything good these days. He's just out there. Sorry, that's my Bill Burr. But it's just Dan, please.
Look, he gets paid for showing up. I
really
would, if I got paid for showing up, I would show up. That's all I would say. Like, you know what I mean?
No, you're not wrong. Don't get me wrong. I know that the fandom is still there. I still think Rick and Morty could be a pretty good show. I just think that why are you doing a Rick and Morty anime? You already did an anime episode in the show kind of thing, that mob episode that itself wasn't that good. And now you're going to do a whole anime like
But this, you want to know why? Because there's a niche of people who probably really like. Because I agree with you, I didn't like that episode, but I bet you there's a niche of people who are like, I love that episode, and they're like, money.
Yeah, I get it. Rick and Morty. That's the thing. You know, when you have certain IPs that just kind of print money because they legit run on their laurels. They're not actually doing Star Wars. Star Wars is a perfect
Star Wars, Simpsons, Family Guy.
You know, so Rick and Morty is one of those things that's like, you were once very, very good. Then you fell off. Then you kind of were okay. And then you were like the most zeitgeisty thing with your Szechuan sauce that caused mass hysteria, panic, and people getting assaulted in the streets and in lines.
My question is, because Dave, I think you like Rick and Morty still, right?
I enjoy Rick and Morty, but I like Rick and Morty because I just like that, like their way of storytelling. I enjoy. Because I think Rick and Morty.
You don't have to explain it, man.
No. Because I'm explaining because I know Brian's about to jump in.
I didn't say anything.
He's always has. Oh yeah. Don't even with your. Don't try to hide behind those see-through glasses.
Would you watch this anime feature that they're gonna? No.
I actually did not like the
I feel like that's pretty telling. Then
I thought it was when I saw, but again, I'm not the biggest well, that's a lie. I like a certain type of anime. And that's not the way the artistry is not my favorite type. And
if you had a choice between the Rick and Morty anime or Morbius, what would you watch?
Break my television.
You joke, but my TV broke recently, so that's not funny, dang.
No, but it's like I don't know. I find it. I think it's definitely answering to a specific niche of people. That's what that creation is. I think there's some people who like that weird way of presentation. That's it. It's still not clear. Oh, you say I don't know what it says, but it says fuck Dan Harmon. Oh.
I just wanted you to read it.
I was like, why are you reading it?
I knew he would read it.
Because in the sense of this specific part, yeah, fuck Dan Harmon.
Oh man, even Dave's on board now.
No, but because to be honest, I don't want you. If I had to nitpick, I don't want you to waste time on a fucking anime when it takes you like 3 years to do a version of your own show. You know what? Because that's what it is. It's the lazy viewer, because the anime was very, very slow. It wasn't like fast paced like the other ones were.
Mike K with the facts. Gotta be something better to do with Rick and Morty than an anime. Facts. Thank you, Mike.
A video game.
Yeah, you know
I'd
what?
be stupid down for a good video.
I would be down to try a Rick and Morty video game with alternate travel, like universes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting to me.
Like a version
or
where
dude, you know what? They could do a MMO, like RPG, like you get to be a Rick and a Morty, and it's in a connected universe, and you have adventures with other Rick and Mortys fighting.
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
You could do easy World of
I
Warcraft
hate that Dan would make so much money, but I would play that. I hate it. I hate it so much. But Dan, if you're listening, because I know you do sometimes, fuck you and make this game. God damn.
So much anger towards this man.
Oh, I'm not even angry at him. I just do this more for fun now. One of our most popular episode downloads ever was the episode where we said Dan Harmon can't keep a wife.
Oh my god, that's when I walked away.
That was like the first time that Dave was like, oh, I think I gotta go.
Like we have a line, guys. We have a line, and it's not that much, but like, damn,
legit one of our most downloaded episodes.
The only thing that hurt is like they had facts to support their claim.
Yeah. Dan Harmon can't keep a wife. You're welcome, listeners.
So Stephanie, Beatrice, and Anthony Mackie are gonna lead Peacock's Twisted Metal. Anything else?
Speaking of games, Twisted Metal game. How awesome is that? I've never played Twisted Metal. So
wait, they're doing it's a live action version of.
It sounds like it because they didn't say animated.
I played.
Twisted Metal was the one with the like weird, like clown mask.
No, Twisted Metal was that. The thing that's weird about this is Twisted Metal is like one of those like first what do you call it? You're in a car and you're fighting each other games. So like like in Mario Kart, you'd have like those moments where like you could battle brawl.
Yeah, but this is what I said. It's like a weird clown face on the cover.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a.
You could have just said yes.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I thought you meant it was about a twisted clown. I'm like, I guess so, but the actual video game
is literally a twisted clown face, all with flame on his head.
Yeah, which I'm assuming might be Anthony Mackie's character.
I don't. Because
that's the only constant character through. Like he's the bad guy. He's the only real constant through all the games.
No, if he's the villain, Anthony Mackie and Stephanie aren't going to be. They're probably going to be playing drivers.
Yeah, I guess so. But how do you make like? It's pretty out there, the video game. How are you going to make it a TV show? Like I don't get how they're going to make that happen. Then again, like anime Rick and Morty. So I mean, anything.
Not even. But Dave, more to the fact, we've been watching TV recently. TV's a mess. They'll do anything.
they'll do anything, and then they'll cancel it, and they'll move on to the next thing.
If this, do we know where this is landing? Is this at Netflix?
In the garbage.
Because Peacock might cancel it too. They're not
Peacock
beyond.
Will cancel it.
Peacock canceled Saved by the Bell, and they literally that's one of their biggest IPs. And they canceled it.
They're like, look, we got a few seasons out of this. That's all we need to get some streams.
Dude, it's crazy. They didn't even get two. They didn't even get more than 2 seasons.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, they only got 2. And the second season was such a weird. Anyways, I just think it's funny when.
Looks like the bell rung for that show.
Oh God! Why do you keep making these horrible Law and Order puns? If you guys, okay, so this is one of the things that Mobs and I sometimes do as a joke. Is we have these ridiculous, how Caruso on CSI Miami used to do the beginning, and then he'd put the glasses and be like, I guess she's gonna be stuck in the ice box. Yeah, like crap like that. So then now Law and Order does it, which is even more annoying because it hurts my soul to know
it's the best part of the show.
And sometimes I'll give Mobs scenarios and he'll just be like, and he'll come up with the lines.
Because I said to Brad, I was like, some of the ones that they're coming up with on the show are so terrible that they would just pay me like $1,000 an episode. I would give them gold. So Brian will like give me a scenario and I'll just like spit out 3 right off the top of my head.
So scary, but a fun game. I will admit, I may not like it. I may not like the concept, but the game Awesome. What else we got? Black Mirror returns, new series in the works at Netflix.
Surprised.
Netflix, you are on your knees begging people to continue watching and paying attention. Hopefully this works for you, because if you can't get all your ducks in a row and give us a good Cobra Kai season, a good Stranger Things season, and a good new Black Mirror season, you're going to have troubles in the next 2 years. Definitely.
They just laid off something like, was it 150 employees?
No,
Yeah.
Netflix is starting to go the way of the dodo, bro, guys.
Yeah.
Let's
Your ad tier is going to have to be so well done. And on top of that, Disney's going to be doing an ad tier now, and Disney was already cheaper than you. Realize Disney is actively trying to get you out of here, Netflix. They're doing it too. Their ad tier that they're going to do that when they're already cheaper than you is going to hurt you.
And Disney has the bankroll too to like run their streaming service as a loss leader if they want to. They don't care.
Yeah, because one Marvel movie takes care of their year.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ, that's so
It's
crazy.
true.
One Marvel movie pays for Disney Plus for a year.
Yeah, and they're making 3 Marvel movies a year these days. That's the crazy part.
Crazy.
Anyway.
Not to mention all the other stuff they do. Like that's just our focus on one aspect.
Good God.
Not to mention Marvel TV shows and like
that's insane.
I don't want to name it all. I don't want to name it all.
That's so crazy when you say it like that.
The
it is
theme
crazy.
park.
Yeah. But good luck to Netflix. I really hope you guys figure it out, because you do have some decent shows. But I think you made some
Decent shows with no morals.
Yeah, but I think if anything, it's more an issue of miscalculations and thinking that your lead was so good that no one would catch up. And even if you do have a huge lead internationally, everyone else is, well, Disney and Amazon are actively pushing into other markets. And more importantly, and this is something that I realized the other day, Amazon is making deals with other companies to have them in their app. So if you have Prime, you know how in Prime you can add, in Canada at least, Stack TV, Hey You, and all that stuff. And now Paramount Plus just made a deal with them. So you can have Amazon and then get your Paramount Plus. And that's where the bundling starts to happen. And that's exactly what's going to screw people over. Because once the bundling starts happening, which is going to be like the cable deals, that's all people are going to want to do. You pay for one, you bundle with the others, and you're done.
We're just transitioning to a different form of cable.
Yes,
it's just the cable that
100%.
you can pick your cable more than you could before.
That's all it is.
Really is.
Everyone's going to go back to paying as much as they were paying before, and then complaining about
if not more.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yep.
That's the whole show. Mobs, thank you so much for coming on to
Thanks
talk
for having
Morbius.
me, guys. Yeah, you can
wild
find me
time.
again at Hooked on Sonics Radio on Instagram, and Hooked on Sonics on Thursdays, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on CJLO.com, #1 radio station in Montreal.
Check them out. That's the whole show, guys. Dave, anything you want to tell the people?
Fuck Dan Harmon.
We out, bitches.